Hello and welcome to this week's Virtual Office Hours. We are the Learning Platforms Team, which is Bill Vilberg, Brett Stevens, Rick Ramos, Michael Bonanno. And this week we're just going to cover one topic really quick. It'll be Lockdown Browser with Rick. But first, we'll do a quick introduction of using the Collaborate interface. We have the audio-video panel, the participants panel, the chat panel, and the content area. In the audio-video panel, we have the talk and video toggles, as well as the sliders for speaker and microphone volume. In the participants panel, we have the raise and lower hand toggle, as well as other interaction buttons such as the away button, the emoticons, and the polling buttons. And here in the chat panel, we have where you can enter chat into the main room, and then you can click to speak with just the moderators. And then in the content area, we of course have our main tools, the whiteboard, application sharing, and web tour. And that's all we have on the Collaborate interface. If you have any questions, please ask them now. Okay, moving on. We have Lockdown Browser with Rick. Go ahead, Rick.
Thank you, Brett, and I want to thank everybody for watching this video and joining us in this Virtual Office Hours. We're going to go ahead and start talking about the Respondus Lockdown Browser. The first thing is, what is the Respondus Lockdown Browser? Well, it's a custom browser that locks down the testing environment within Blackboard. When the students use the Respondus Lockdown Browser, they are unable to print, copy, go to another URL, or access other applications. When the assessment is started, students are locked into it until they're submitted for grading. The Lockdown Browser is also available for Mac and Windows. So how do you get it? The University of Miami offers its own version of the Lockdown Browser, so downloading it from the Respondus site will not work. Basically, it means that the version that we have comes with the University of Miami information, and it only works when running Blackboard from the University of Miami. So to get it, you will have to log into Blackboard and go to the help link or tab on the top of the page. Then click on BB Support sub-tab. And in our support page, there is the link to download the Respondus Lockdown Browser. Once you click on that link, it's going to take you to this page, and this is the option this is the URL to download the Lockdown Browser. I would also encourage the students to look at this video. This will show them, this is a fairly old video, but it still works, it still will give them an idea of what the Lockdown Browser does and how they will work with it. So once you have clicked on the URL to download, you will get to this page. You also have here a link that if you have a Mac, you will click on that. I also encourage you to watch this video. It will explain you what the Lockdown Browser does and how you can use it in your class. And when you're ready, just click on the Install Now. This will download the application and install it in your computer. Once it is installed, the student is ready to take the exam in Respondus. So for them to take the exam, they will have to open the browser and log into Blackboard and go to the exam content area and start it. Now, I will not be able to do that kind of demonstration here because the Lockdown Browser will have me log out of my session of Collaborate, because it basically shuts down every application that can allow me to record or to share or to go to another site. Basically, all I have available is the Lockdown Browser. Who's doing it? The School of Nursing is a big user of the Lockdown Browser. They have a lab set up in their school with the Lockdown Browser, and they come in and they have the students take the exam. In some occasions, they have the students come into the classroom, in a different classroom that is not the lab, with their own computer, and the students have already installed the Lockdown Browser, and they have the students take the exam from their own computer. So they're big users of that application, and it works really well for them. Okay, so how do I set up an exam with Respondus? For that purpose, I'm going to go ahead and give you a live demo so you can have an idea on how to set it up for your class if you want to use it. So let's go ahead and start sharing my browser. Here we go. Everybody can see that? Give me a check mark if you do. Thank you. Okay, so this is my course, and the first thing that I have to make sure is that the exam is deployed. So if I go to my exam content area, I see that my exam is deployed. By that, I mean that I went to assessment, clicked on test, and I selected one of the exams to make it available for the students. Right now, by default, the test is not available because I did not pick to make it visible to the students, but I deployed it. So now that it's here, as you can see, the title is called Final Exam. Now I would go to my control panel and go to the course tools for that course. Now, there is a tool called Respondus Lock Browser. I would just click on that. And all the exams that are deployed in my course will show up in here. Obviously, I only have one that is deployed, and it's not required to use the lockdown browser, as you can see it over here. But we want to make it required. So if you look at the little icon on the left of the title, you click on that, and then there's the option to modify the settings. Once I select it, make sure that your Java is enabled, because I believe this requires Java. You have this screen that comes up, and I just have to select the required Respondus Lockdown browser for this exam. The first thing that I can see is that I can select a password, so I can go ahead and put a password to access the exam. It's not necessary to do that, but if you want the students to enter a password, you can certainly do this. This is optional. There are some advanced settings at the bottom, so I'm going to expand that and go over those advanced settings. The lockdown browser allows you to log the students in the browser until the exam is completed. So if you check this, the students will not be able to close the browser while they are in the exam. So basically, they can't get out. The only way for them to get out would be to shut down their computer. So by default, it's not checked, which means that they can't close their browser. But if they didn't complete their exam, they will have it will show that they did not answer those questions if they left them. And here is a small explanation of what this will do. The next one is allow students to take this exam with an iPad. The new version of the lockdown browser allows students to take the exam with an iPad, but you have to make sure that you select this option. So if you select this one, now the students can go ahead on their iPad, launch the lockdown browser, and take the exam. The lockdown browser on the iPad does not require a specific version. All they got to do is go ahead and download it from the iTunes. It does not require to have a version like on their computer. And then the last one is allow specific students to access this exam with a screen reader. This is for disabilities, students with disabilities. You have an explanation here of what this is about. And if you check, you'll have the option to enter the username of the students. Now, just to remind everybody, what Blackboard considers to be the username is the C number. So if you want to make an exception for a student, just enter their C number here, and they'll be able to access the lockdown browser with the screen readers. Once you are ready, I'm just not going to select any of those options. However, I'm going to make it required. I just click Save and Close. Now, this exam has to be taken with the lockdown browser. So in just a little bit, it'll complete the process, and we'll be ready to move on. Okay. It usually takes a little while for the lockdown browser to complete. Okay, so while we wait, there we go. It's finally getting there. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna have to send a request to a lot of responders to do some improvement on the speed of the tool. Okay, let me move quickly to our exam, see if anything was changed. And as you can see now, the final exam has an addition to the name, and it says require the Respondus Lockdown browser. Now the students, in order for them to take this exam, they will have to have the Respondus Lockdown browser installed on their computer and run it before taking the exam. I can go ahead now and make this exam available. I go ahead and edit the test options and make available, make the link available, yes. Submit. Now I'm ready to release this for the students. If I am in Blackboard and I try to take the exam, it's going to open another window, click continue, and it's going to ask me for a password. Not in this case because I'm the instructor, but if I was a student, for example, leave the page, let me go ahead and go to the student view. Okay. Let's go ahead and log back in again. The difficult part for me is to remember in which course I did that. So here we are in this course, and I'm going to go to the student view. I'm going to click on exams, and I'm going to go ahead and take this exam. Begin. And as you can see here, there's a password that is required. And because I don't know that password, I would not be able to take the exam. Okay? So the students will not be able to take this exam on the regular browser. Because they will be asked for a password that they do not know. They will have to go into the lockdown browser. Just so you have an idea what the lockdown browser looks like. Let me go ahead and share my whole screen. So this is the icon for the lockdown browser, and all I have to do is double click it. Of course, I'm going to cancel that, otherwise as you can see, once I start running it, it starts shutting down applications on my computer, and if I do run it, this session will be terminated. So that's it for the lockdown browser. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and you can always call the help desk, the Blackboard help desk at 305-284-3949. Thank you. Brett?
All right, well, that concludes our office hours for this week. Join us again in, it's going to be another 2 weeks from now. We double check that really quick. Okay, no one's here to hear this, so I'm going to stop recording.